So I did an entire intro and you didn't hear none of it, huh? It's because I was muted. That's just... Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. And if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Hey, everyone. I'm glad you said that to me because I'm sitting here with it muted. I don't know why it was muted still. It's supposed to turn itself off whenever the intro's over with. I don't know. Welcome to the show, Adela. Welcome for the rest of the folks that are in here as well. Just decided I'm going to try to start doing some more lives, and there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. It's Friday night. I ain't got nothing else to do. I have no life, so here we are. Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. What's up, Rob? How's everybody doing? Glad everybody's here. Hopefully, I should have another guest in here in a few minutes for sure. But going to talk a little bit tonight about a couple of things. First thing, the Hugh Freeze idea for a spring game. I don't know what you guys are thinking about all this stuff right now, but hey, 4-day weekends are cool. Hugh Freeze kind of floated the idea out there the other day, or on Monday, about Auburn playing UAB for their spring game. Trying to tell, yeah. Thanks, Hank. Appreciate it. Apparently Hugh Freeze is sitting there trying to. He's wanting to see live action playing against somebody other than your own squad. There's a lot of people kind of crapping on this idea. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? I don't have a problem with it. I think that you could, by the time that the spring practices are over with, and you get to the time when it's time for that, these guys are kind of sick of hitting each other. And I also feel like, all these excuses about, injuries, things like that. I think you're more likely to get injured against, ones against ones, things like that, than you are to do it the other way. I think it's not a terrible idea. Apparently, Coach Venables thinks he likes it too. He said it'd be fun, and that they would probably do it if you got an opportunity to, and if everybody else was doing it. He said Trent Dilfer at UAB was like, please, pretty please. So I think it would be a better show. And I think for folks like us, I mean, are we not all fiending for some football right now? I mean, if we're watching the XFL right now, it is kind of one of them deals. Hey, what's up, Jimmy? How's everybody doing? Hank, Jimmy, Rob, glad everybody's here. Yeah, I think everybody kind of gets a little banged up, don't they? It's just, I don't know. Yeah, you like that? I kind of rebranded the whole thing. Yeah, I'm a little crooked though here, ain't I? Sheesh, man, I wasn't ready for this at all. Yeah, so hey, Golden Blue Dude. Yes. Hey, Will, thank you very much. And I know I speak for all this audience here whenever I say that we are just really sorry about Chris's death. Man, it's I think it's hit the college football community very, very hard. Anybody who's watched, who's ever seen the Golden Blue Dude show, I know for some of us newer content creators, it's been a big deal. He was so helpful, and not even, I didn't even interact with him much, but just watching his show and seeing his passion for it, I mean, it kind of made you kind of up your game a little bit. And he's going to be missed. He's really going to be missed. I really hope that the family finds its way through it. your video really touched me that day as well. So thanks a lot for jumping on here, and anything that we can do into the future, we'd be happy to do that. All right. Thanks so much for dropping in. Wow. Yeah. So let's talk about that for just a second. And as I said, Chris Petrie was something else, and I really didn't. I never really got to talk to him other than a couple of times in his comments and stuff like that. But today, his producer, one of his producers, was saying that he was about to invite me on his show, and that just kind of hit me kind of hard earlier this afternoon. I tell you, but he's inspired me a lot, and this is something that I've been talking about wanting to do. I'm going to start getting some stuff together to do a real format to where I can do it live videos at least 3 to 4 days a week, maybe. We'll start off probably a little slower, but honestly, I want to start cranking it up a little bit. I mean, you talk about a guy that was unbelievably passionate about the job that he was doing. And I mean, he was doing it to feed his family first and foremost, but he was just, I mean, video after video after video out there all day. Yeah. And yeah, man, it's wow, his funeral was, I didn't even realize that you could have watched it. Man, I wish I could have. I'll go back and watch it later if there's a opportunity to. But I tell you, this right here, what you said, Hank. I think you guys are my friends too, and I've said this, I've repeated this, that you had said this the other night too. It's like when he passed, you kind of felt like it was one of your good friends that passed away. And as I said, I had like 2 interactions with him in his comment section. But the guy that's on his show a lot, that he was talking about being in the, he actually had sent me a message on the comment section from the video I did the other day and was saying that he had that Chris wanted me to come on his show and that he was supposed to be getting a hold of me, and that was kind of I'm definitely honored in that, and I mean, it just kind of blew me away. I just wasn't expecting that. I didn't even know the guy knew I existed. So he definitely existed to a lot of us, though. So like I said, I one of the things that the last couple of times I watched him, I thought it was hilarious that he was saying things like, he had his new little thing where he was calling it the speculation zone in his car. It was almost like he was giving himself a hard time, because there were some guys that would go in there and just rail on him, and which you know how the trolls are, they're everywhere. But I tell you, I've noticed it all over Twitter. I've noticed it all over YouTube. This guy is going to be missed. Chris is going to be missed by a lot of people, and it's really sad, really sad. We're going to push on as he would. I'm going to get more passionate about this thing. We're going to crank this thing up. I want everybody to please, please, please share this stream with your friends. Anybody you know who likes college football, please do that. We are going to grow this thing and make it a full-time thing. So I'm going to start off here in the next few weeks. I will get the format together. I've got the website being built now, but we're going to start doing at least 3 to 4 days a week. Talking about, and I'm going to need your help as my audience to help give me show topics. What do you want to talk about? What do you want me to talk about and look into? Guests that we might need to get on here. That's going to be something we're going to have to work at some, but I'm working on some of that anyway. So, hey, definitely going to have it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kim, glad to see you here. And again, as I said, you guys are my friends, and I'm so glad that you have supported the show and showing up in here every time that I go live. Every time you're watching all my videos when they come out, I couldn't be happier to have the support that I get from you guys, and it's great. It really is, really is. So yeah, but definitely as the website, I'm going to have that finished by this into this weekend. We're going to have some options, some ways for you to kind of write in about what you want show topics to be, things like that. What you'd want us to talk more about. I'm guessing recruiting would be one of those things. Another thing we're going to talk about today on today's show, Aaron Flowers, who was predicted, well, his crystal ball was to USC though. But Oklahoma was in hot pursuit. That didn't happen, and it actually didn't. He didn't go to USC either. He committed to Oregon today. So it's a little bit of a miss for Oklahoma. But what I would say is that they're still in on some other premier talent for the 2024 class. This isn't even the highest rated safety that they have as a possibility anyway. So they're looking there, sitting at the lake drinking a beer. That's always. Hey man, you didn't miss a whole lot there, Matt. We well, you did. You missed Golden Blue Dudes. I believe that may have been his brother that was in there. He jumped on here just to say thank you for our condolences and stuff like that. But thank you. Appreciate you coming in. And I was on mute for a while. You didn't miss that. The show started, and generally when the intro stops, the mic comes on. So why that did that, I'm not sure. 420 ice cream and listening to the live. Nice. I like it. Yeah. So we got started on that. Hey, and we're going to be we've got our first guest in here today. So I'm going to bring into the show Ty Hayes from Around the Table Sports. I was just on his show. Stream. There he is.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Oh, just got back from Academy. Had to go and get all the grilling supplies.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we were just talking about a couple things, but and you know who Golden Blue Dude was, right?
I actually just saw that today.
Yeah.
I never got an opportunity to make any content with him or anything like that, but he'd hopped in the live stream for us a few times. Seemed like a great dude.
Oh man, he was. And and I didn't get a chance to work with him or anything like that. My contacts with him were limited just through his chat section in during his live streams. But I tell you, being a new creator, and a lot of the stuff that I've done a lot of stuff on conference realignment and stuff, and that was his thing.
Yeah, I know he was big into
Golden Blue Dude was all over the conference realignment, and he had even gotten to where he was calling it the speculation zone. It was which was funny. He was a trip, man. But I'll tell you, it's pretty cool, man. It's I guess it was his producer had sent me a message. I made the video the other night about just that everybody should, and I will go ahead and stick that in there again for their GoFundMe for his final expenses and stuff like that. That'd be great if everybody could continue to just
if you could send me that, I'll post it on my channel as well in the community tab. That way we can get as much help as we can.
Definitely. He's got 4 kids, so he's leaving 4 kids and a fiance behind, and so it's a tough deal, tough deal. But anyway, his brother, I think, just jumped in here and was thanking us for that, and it just kind of got everybody talking about it a little bit. Just the fact that the guy was a tireless worker, man. And I think of guys like you and Jay and all the other. I mean, we all work a lot, but this dude had a motor that just didn't ever quit running. You know what I mean? So it's a loss for this community, for this college football community. I mean, whether you liked his content, didn't, I mean, you have to respect it. You know what I mean? And the dude was just, I don't think he ever had a bad day. And I don't even think he minded the haters. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I like the guy.
Yeah, he was always on it.
Pretty inspirational, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining in. Gonna jump in here. Let me just put this back up on the screen here. The Hugh Freeze idea. What are you guys thinking about that? What are you thinking about this, Ty?
Man, I don't
You
see
got
any
our
reason.
opinion on it before, but I want to hear from you. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't do it. I mean, look, I talked about this today on the show we just got done doing, and I'd spent, I want to say a lot of time, but like in order to be completely fair, like when I say I spent a lot of time thinking about something, that means I put more than like 3 seconds of thought into it before I jumped at it. So I put a
Right.
good like 3 minutes of thought into this, which for me, the fact that I could hold on to a string of thought that long, that's impressive stuff, man. I really went to the bottom of the barrel for this one. Um, Look, I've come up with two possible negatives, and neither of them I find compelling enough to really dissuade from doing it. Negative number one is a possibility, right? And we talked about it earlier. I have no data to back it up, but maybe injuries. And the only reason I'd say injuries, Jason, is because you're going to be going a little harder if it's Troy than if it's Oklahoma or Alabama. You know what I mean? Like but the flip side of that coin is, let's say Alabama is scrimmaging Troy. Are you that much more likely to sustain an injury against Troy than you would against the 5-star defensive tackle and the 5-star? You get what I mean? Like,
No, that's what I've said. That's what I was
I
saying in
don't
your show earlier. I mean, are you going to get hurt against the little guys?
I
Or
just think that the difference would be negligible. Like even
well,
even if in 2 years we did this and they came back to us and said, "Hey, we are finding that in these open spring games, like these exhibition games, we are seeing more injuries," I wouldn't think it would be a substantial enough amount to stop doing them. And I just don't think that the injuries would uptick. The only other thing I could think is you're not getting that extra opportunity to really go hard in developing those back end guys. But like I said
sure.
on my show, if you get to the spring game, which is an exhibition game already, let's call it what it is. It's an
Sure,
exhibition
sure.
game
Of course
already.
it is.
If you get to the spring game and you're worried about developing guy number 4, you've messed up your spring practices. You had weeks to develop guy number 4.
Right.
If you're counting on the spring game for that last little bit of development,
Mhm.
I think you know that's an indication something's been wasted in spring practice. So I love the idea. I think it's great.
Yeah, well, and just to look at it this way. Now, Hank, I know you were, or let's see, it was James, you were saying, I think you'd have to throw a lot of money at smaller schools. I don't know that that's the case. Trent Dilfer from UAB was saying, please, please, pretty please, that they would love to do it and hit somebody else other than, and kind of see, they would get an opportunity to kind of see where their programs are at in comparison with the blue blood, like in Alabama and Auburn and, of course, Oklahoma. If you're playing somebody like,
Whoa. You said 3 schools under blue blood. And I'm fine with 2 of them under blue blood. But
right.
whoa.
Pardon me here. Alabama and Oklahoma.
Those are blue bloods. Yeah. No debate here. I get
I don't.
enough of the Auburn from
I have
Chris.
no Auburn Tiger paraphernalia here.
Oh, thank
You
God.
don't have to worry about me. I mean, I could throw it up on the back screen
Please
back
don't.
here if I wanted to, but I won't. Yeah, I don't care anything about them. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, James, somewhere Chris is hoisting a flag. You're
Somewhere
absolutely
he is. Yes, he is. Yeah. I
like a
asked him
little
to come
alert.
on. He had an opportunity to be here, so he
Oh,
didn't.
God.
So it is what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, the thing is like I said, when you're talking about, this is a great point right here. It's only 11 of your guys on the field instead of 22 at one time. So, the chances of you getting hurt. And listen, here's another thing. What about I think that for the little schools, what something that I had seen, the little schools, you start looking at, well, what if we lose our best player to, they see somebody that they like and they take them from us, that's the risk you're going to take. You know what I mean? Like, say, a guy that flew under the radar and all of a sudden, he's a stud though, playing at UAB or, Okie Light. Okie Light could play us in the spring games. We'd have some spring game bedlam.
That'd be awesome for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State week of practice and spring game, I think would be fantastic.
I think it would be great, but I don't know. I just know that Gundy wouldn't do it.
I don't
Not
disagree
interested?
with that. Yeah. I
Oh,
don't. I
yeah,
don't
he's a
disagree with
chump,
that.
dude. Come on, good guy.
It's
There's the excuses that they're making to not play the game is funny.
That's one of the most interesting teams in college football, though. Like,
Mhm.
objectively speaking, what they do with the talent they have is very impressive, but it's just like the question I've always had for Oklahoma State, have you already hit your ceiling? Like, have we witnessed your ceiling under
Oh,
Gundy?
I think so.
Yeah, and that's
I
an
think it's
interesting
pretty clear. I mean,
conversation.
look at the way that they. I mean, we can jump right into that. I mean, that's fine with me. I think that as far as I mean, we can finish off this, this little
Oh, no,
conversation here.
I
I
don't
mean,
mean to
obviously,
derail.
to me, again, we talked about this on your show though, and I feel like you could rather than playing these cream puffs during the season, which and if you're gonna, it gives you an opportunity that you can sell the game. I mean, look at what PG was talking about. If you did it at $25, you're still not charging crazy amounts of money, and you get an opportunity to sell something. It's some football to watch, which is, and it's not just your guys going against your guys. I think it's something that you don't necessarily have to do it. You know, I think what was it Josh Pate was talking about, and he goes, "Hey, you don't have to do it. I mean, it's
If you don't
obviously
want to do it,
something
don't
you
do it.
could." I feel like definitely the injury issue. I'm not too worried about that. I think money wise, I mean, if PG said what at $25 a ticket, that would be over a couple $1,000,000.
I think he had it at 1.78 million.
Yeah,
But we also
I
have to
mean, give that
realize you'd
get ha-
probably have to pay 1 million to get it. If we're talking a smaller school like a
sure.
Tulsa, you'd have to pay a lot of money to get them. But even then, right? Like you're still generating money.
Yeah.
So you're in the clear there.
Listen, yeah, why not? And I mean, but I mean, or even think about this: if you did like a home at home with, somebody brought up or PG brought up doing it with CU, you get an opportunity to see where your guys are at.
Yeah.
I,
I think
I,
it'd
I
be
mean, there's
interesting.
options. There's obviously all kinds of options. I don't really see a downside to any of this, though. I mean, apparently it's against NCAA rules for them to play those smaller
The
schools in the
NCAA doesn't
spring.
understand their own rules. I'm not worried
I
about
was fixing to say,
NCAA.
not that I care about the NCAA, and
Yeah.
according to the new bill with Oklahoma, they could give a crap less about the NCAA when it comes to NIL, so they can tell them to shove off on the other one anyway. Yeah, I think it would get televised. I think you could sell it in a lot of ways, Jimmy. I do.
Yeah, I mean, we got to understand they're televised now,
Yeah.
or they can be. It'd be interesting to see the TV structures because right now, like, okay, April 22nd, for instance, Oklahoma has their spring game, Alabama has their spring game, and
Right.
Colorado has theirs, but only one of them is quote unquote televised.
Right. Right.
Colorado's. Now, OU's is ESPN Plus, Alabama's is ESPN Plus, but obviously they'd have to change that around, right? Like once if we were to go into that stage of who gets televising, but then we'd have to have an entirely different conversation. Does this have to be uniform because you have Fox covering part of the country as compared to ESPN covering part of the country? And now you have different teams who might want to go play under what jurisdiction. So it seems simple, and it is on the football side, but of course the NCAA and TV contracts have to jumble everything up.
Sure. Sure. I mean, in the end, I mean, we're just talking about more football at a time
Oh,
that
I
people are
know.
starving for it. I mean, when it gets to spring and now the Super Bowl's been over with for 2 months, and you know what I mean. The XFL's on. I don't know how many people are watching that. I don't care about it.
I got my all
But I love
22.
football. I do watch it.
I got
Huh?
my all 22, and I'm just like holding on to right now, watching every night, crying into a pillow, waiting for football to come back.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And again, we'll see. And to me, I mean, if you're going to make, it would be a good opportunity for if you're, Okie Light if you're not willing to play Oklahoma during the regular season and keep Bedlam going, which is clearly not going to continue happening. There's a reason why they want it that way. There's been 117 games. They haven't even won 20 of them. So, and he's tired of getting his butt kicked. How this guy still has a job. You talked about him reaching his ceiling there. I think he did that a while back. The dude has won one conference championship in 19 years. He's beaten Oklahoma 3 times in 19 years. I mean, and for the money they're paying him, which is almost $8 million a year on a revolving contract that goes 5 years, it seems to me like you could go get a Jeff Traylor or a Willie Fritz from Tulane, and they could recruit better because they would. They would work at it. He doesn't even like recruiting. At some point, these guys the game passes them by, and it happens to everybody. But I think it's happened with him, and he's in love with his own narrative about how great he's been and the culture that he's built. The culture of what? I mean, getting close and not doing it? Whoop-de crap. You know what I mean? Oklahoma literally won 6 conference titles in a row at a time when Texas was trash.
Yeah, and the Big 12 as a whole was reeling.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they're perpetual underachievers at a time that they could have achieved plenty.
Yeah, the Big 12 was ripe for the taking. I mean, granted, the Big 12 was in Oklahoma's possession, but who was going to be that number 2 team was ripe for the taking.
And it became Baylor instead.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, though, I love Aranda. But no, point proven. I think the thing that kills me, man, is it's one thing to not have conference championships, right? Because I always talk about winning is tough. And especially when we're talking about winning those championships, it's so tough. The stagnation is what gets me. The unwillingness to progress. I say this all the time. The enemy of progression is stagnation. And that's exactly what I would qualify Oklahoma State as right now, is stagnant. I hate stagnant. You want to talk about something that drives me up a damn wall is stagnation. You don't want to progress. You just, nah.
No, and that's what the craziest part about it. I do some work with Locked On Oklahoma State, Cody Stovall, and he's great. I like him, man. He's fun.
I think I talked to him. I think I did some content with him. I had a great time.
And the dude is, I mean, he's all about Oklahoma State, and I give him props for it. But even he will bust on him. He's just like, dude. But there's so many of the fans that they go crazy when he does that. I mean, they can't stand it if you badmouth Gundy, and they feel like that's the best they're gonna get. And to me, it's just like, holy crap! I can't. And I get it. They were this close to getting to a playoff, and the truth is, they should have beaten the hell out of Baylor. They should have beaten the hell out of them in that conference championship game. But Spencer Sanders had 4 interceptions. I don't think that he called. I think that they all choked, but that's just kind of what they do. And that's where I think he's banging his head on the ceiling. And look, after what happened in the TCU game, they're up 17 this past year. They're up 17 on the road. Early in the second quarter, they let them come all the way back and win because they just no fire.
Well, I'll tell you the most damning thing. We don't even have to look for the season, man. What happened after the season? Where are all of his players?
What I'm saying. They were pissed off at the TCU game. Yeah. They are all pissed. And you know why they were pissed? They were pissed because he wasn't pissed. His answer to the game, well, that wasn't as fun as the first few.
Yeah, that would have
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't have been me.
And that's what I'm saying. And so that's why they're all gone. And then apparently, I mean, I guess Spencer decided he wanted to come back, and then they told him no. But come on, man. I would have let him come back.
First off, what the hell do you have at quarterback outside of him?
Bowman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wasn't good enough to play at Tech, but yeah.
If I'm remembering right, I like his upside, Bowman. I actually do like him, but it's the point of like you have a quarterback that knows your system.
Yeah.
You're not Georgia, man. You don't get to look a player that has done for you in the face and say, no, thank you.
Gundy was calling him the best quarterback in OSU history during the season.
Yeah, that's ridiculous to me. I'm sorry. And it's it's kind of crazy.
Wow,
I somewhat defended Gundy early in the season. And when I say somewhat, let me explain. I was saying, like, it is impressive when we look at the level of talent he gets, the consistency he's had.
Sure.
Now, that being said, I certainly wasn't putting him in the same
that some
tier.
people do. I get it.
Yeah,
No,
you get what I'm trying to say here. Like, I think I can acknowledge up until this past year, it's been decent, it's been good. While also acknowledging, buddy, you're not Brian Kelly. You're not. You know what? Okay? You get what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. Yeah, I remember Joe Klatt did an interview with him early in the season last year, and he was just kissing his ass about. I mean, you guys choked. You choked. Yes, they went and beat Notre Dame after Kelly left, though. And it was
and in Notre Dame, that game was early.
Yeah, well, it was one. Well, no, it was a New Year's Six game.
Oh, it was a New Year's Six. For whatever reason,
but listen,
wrong OSU.
They should have won the conference title and been in the playoff, though. They choked the game, and they always do this too. But they lost the game to Iowa State at home, and then they beat Oklahoma. Which, hey man, I'm gonna say this forever. That game was thrown. As far as I'm concerned, Lincoln knew that he needed to get out of there, or else he may not take the job. Or what are you going to do with your recruiting? Although we find out now that clearly he was already recruiting for USC.
I just love the comments after the game, and at the time, I remember being in a live.
Yeah,
and I didn't think much of it, but I did bring it up, and I was talking to Chris. He's like, "Oh, see, there's no worry, he's staying," and I was like, "Yeah, but." He didn't say he was staying, Chris.
No,
he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "He said he wasn't going to LSU." And Chris was like, "No, he's staying." And I was like, I think he is. Because at that time, you're like, okay, it's Lincoln. It's Oklahoma. This doesn't happen to Oklahoma.
Right.
Y'all are a beacon of consistency. You're the Pittsburgh damn Steelers.
Here's the thing, though. I knew after the Baylor loss that something was wrong. Because he didn't show up for his media availability. He didn't show up for his media availability that Monday, right? He gets back, and there was all kinds of reports about that he'd flown down to Baton Rouge, or they saw a private plane. They assumed it was Baton Rouge, and I'm sure he was making it look that way. Whether it was Baton Rouge or whether he went to LA, I don't know. Of course, he got the same deal. Yeah. No matter what, wherever he was at, he wasn't at freaking practice, okay, and he wasn't at media availability. He gets back, the Tulsa World, the Oklahoman, all of them, all these reporters, the media guys there, they ask him where he was or if he had been to LSU. And what is his answer? His answer is, guys, I think I've said this before. I'm the head coach at the University of Oklahoma. That's it. I said, and I'm sitting here watching this live going, until you're not. What the hell is that?
Yeah, he was very almost like a politician with how he answered. Because if you go back,
exactly what he was doing. He didn't say, I'm not going to LSU. He said, yeah, I'm the coach at Oklahoma. And I was like, son of a bitch. And
I think the strongest.
I knew he was gone that day. I said, that dude is leaving.
Wow. I think the strongest thing he ever came out and said was when they specifically were like, are you going to LSU? And he's like, I'm not going to LSU, period. And he didn't say anything else. And I was like, in my head, I was
and nobody held his fucking feet to the fire then either.
and in fairness, like, even though I said something about it, like I said, I will stand 10 toes. I never would have put 2 and 2 together that he was leaving. I just thought, oh, well, he's just spiting the media. He's tired of the media being down his throat, and he's just spiting the media.
Well, he does that too.
Yes,
he definitely does that too. But but nobody ever held his feet to the fire on anything while he was at Oklahoma. He did no wrong.
That's because it's Oklahoma, and the results were always there. Like, you got to remember something, bro. You and I both are very spoiled in our college football fandom.
Absolutely,
very, very.
Except that Oklahoma hadn't won one since 2000. So
sure, I hear you, and you're not wrong. The difference is, brother, is how many programs have 10-win seasons once every 5 years if they're lucky. And for
Absolutely.
y'all,
No, I
it's
get that.
just like an afterthought.
Hey, Sark would love to have a 10-win season. He still hasn't had one yet.
I hope they're going towards one, but point proven, right? Like we look
Yeah.
at Texas, we look at all these teams, and it's just like they haven't had for 5 years the
Right.
consistency Oklahoma has had for 20.
Sure.
And so we're both very, very spoiled in our college football fandom in terms of stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
I think that's part of the reason why I was just like, no, he's not leaving. It's Oklahoma. Why would you leave Oklahoma?
Man,
Unless
I
you're going to the
had a
NFL.
feeling. And I remember saying something about it on Twitter that day, and I got attacked by fellow OU fans, that, oh, he's not going anywhere. It's just like Stoops. He got approached all the time every year. He ain't going, he's just like Stoops. And I was like, well, shit. He ain't all he said was, I am the coach at Oklahoma. He didn't say, I'm staying here forever. They didn't ask him, will you be next year? They didn't even ask him a follow-up question.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? You don't even ask him a follow-up. Okay, you are now. We know you are. Nobody fired you, right? Okay, good. So will you be next year? You know what I mean? It would have been the first thing that I asked.
Yeah.
First thing. Well, okay. So until when? You know what I mean? Like to me, and then now we find out that he had his coaches recruiting for, he had his coaches recruiting for USC during the year. During the year. Scummy. Anyway, I'm definitely with you. Yeah, listen.
Oh, yeah. You guys know how much I talk about it at length. The staff Oklahoma has, you've got to be over the moon with it. How could you not?
They have exceeded. Listen, what happened in the season last year? Nobody liked it. Nobody liked seeing them lose freaking 7 times. But you got to remember that 5 of those losses were by 1 score. 4 of them by 3 points, and they had a trash defense. The defense wasn't good when Lincoln was there, and the best ones on the defense were gone, aside from Billy Bowman, and of course, there was a few guys that played okay, but a new system, it was hard on them. It's just look.
And if I may, not
surprised only that they lost only that many, man. To be honest,
Yeah, and not only is it a new system,
gone.
Right? Like a new system that happens, but it's a polar opposite in approach to systems. Mm-hmm. Right? Whenever we really break this down, and I think we'll do it quickly. I don't want to take your podcast down the weeds on this, but I do. And this is just fascinating to me because I'm not I haven't been doing this long enough to call myself a film guy. But because I know I'm not a film guy, I watch so much film trying to learn as much as I can. Sure. I'm always asking Denzel questions, or my roommate PJ, who played college football, sending them clips help me break this down. And especially Denzel, man. He was coached by Gary Patterson, and then in the NFL level, his NFL coach is going to be a Hall of Famer as well. So Denzel has known nothing but Hall of Fame coaching. Denzel Johnson. It's one of my best friends from high school. He played safety for TCU and then went on to play for the Tennessee Titans. Nice. Coached by Gary Patterson, was recruited to TCU as a quarterback. Went out there, I think they were during a basketball, just kind of messing around playing basketball. And a word on the street is Denzel just hauls off and does a 360 windmill dunk. And Gary Patterson was like, all right, you're not playing on the bench next year. That next year was that 2014 season. Or 15 season for TCU where they were so good. He was the safety with the dreadlocks.
Screwed that all up. Oh.
He was the safety with the dreadlocks that
I remember that guy. Yeah.
He was first team all Big 12. He was unbelievable.
I remember
he was great, and he is Jason, he's smart. He's a really, really smart guy.
So what's he doing now?
Yeah. Anything and everything, man. Training. He's doing a lot with the youth in Gainesville. Still doing some CFL action. He had a hamstring injury that really hurt, but he's staying active in the CFL, keeping himself ready, and doing a lot of training with the youth around Gainesville right now.
That's good, man. That's awesome.
I think he'd be a great college coach, but he's got a family at this point. That's, neither here nor there. But whenever we look at this Oklahoma transition, one thing we have to acknowledge is when we look at the Alex Grinch scheme, look, the nickname is Speed D. It's predicated on we're going to do things simple. We're going to have one read, and everything is going to be flow. We're going to create layers and linear paths within our defense. That way, everything is very quick, very snappy. If one person misses their, line, there's someone else to come in there and try and take advantage of that. A lot of stunts up front, a lot of movement up front, and it's all just about more freeing and gadget stuff.
Yeah.
You then transition from that to a very cerebral defense. It's the difference of reacting to training and then letting your mind react as opposed to your body reacting.
That's right. You have assignments, gap. You have to be gap assigned. It's got to be. Listen, and we saw it all last year. The Baylor game, they lost it because they had two guys in the same gap. God. You could see it right in the film.
Kansas State. Kansas State had a touchdown where you had three linebackers to one side of the center. That's right. I'm sitting there like, guys, there's nobody to the strong side of the center. Someone's got to go over there, and Deuce Vaughn just cuts right in there for the touchdown. And it not only did Lincoln take some of the best players, the philosophy that these players were having to transition to, I don't think that gets talked about enough, because I
James
think
was saying he was perfect right on right here. Everybody forgets it takes that first year. They're going to struggle. They struggled at Clemson. They did. They struggled they not his first year here because they won, or no, it was the second year. They struggled the first year though. I mean, they had a rough time. And they had some good recruits. They had good recruits when him and Stoops showed up. I mean, they went undefeated the next year and won the national championship. So, I mean, yes, he's right here. Season 2, they're going to be better. And yes, they're going to be better in season 3, because we're talking about Adebawari and all these guys that are going to, we're wondering how well they're going to be this year, how well they're going to play this year, how much time they're going to get. They're going to get time, but it's going to be a lot better by year 3, by the time they get to the SEC. And that's when you want it to be. Obviously, this is good. It's working itself out well. I'd say this, if Lincoln was going to do us that favor, he did it at the right time, because had he waited another year, then what? You know what I mean? But bottom line is that I agree. And here's the other thing about the speed. They didn't, that freaking strength and conditioning program, when after that first year, when they should have won the national championship the first year, they should have beaten the brakes off of Georgia in that Rose Bowl. I was there. They had them. They let their foot off the gas, and it got out of hand. But in truth be told, that was there was multiple coaching mistakes that happened there. But in the end, when you think about it, after that, they weren't able to do it. And why? Because Speed D is meant for your Texas Techs of the world, or your ECUs of the world, or wherever else that isn't a blue blood that can't go get those monsters.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see the Speed D in USC. Now, this is going to be kind of, yeah, I know, but look, I got to be as objective as possible. They inherited crap on the defensive side of the ball.
I'm aware.
You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But in fairness to you, we've seen enough of a sample size. I hope they give. I ping pong back and forth about this, because after the season, I said, look, if you're Lincoln Riley, I understand you might have a loyalty to Alex Grinch. You need to go out there and you need to get somebody. You need to get somebody.
Oh.
Your defense is your defense is unbearable. Your offense is unbelievable. You got to get somebody. Yeah. But part of me hopes they keep him, because I almost want to use it as a case study on his defensive philosophy, right? I want him to be somewhere for an extended period of time. That way I have a large sample size of what he does. Oklahoma, I think, is a great indication of that. And I just don't know if the Big 12 is apt for the Speed D like the Pac-12. Maybe. I think you could get away with it in the Pac-12.
Well, but okay, but the Pac-12 is, for all intents and purposes, it's over with.
Oh, I agree with you there. I no disagreements from here.
So what?
I mean, they're looking at the CW network.
Here's the thing. They're going to the Big 10 next year.
Well, no doubt. That's why that's why they have got to address the defense. They've made some defensive analyst
Caleb makes up for a
hires.
ton. You're right.
Yeah, Caleb makes up for a ton, Hank.
Yeah, man.
No doubt about that. The guy is unbelievable. But it's one of those things.
Oklahoma, you were talking about it on your show that there were some bad wins in Lincoln's last year, or
so
they were ugly wins. We've talked about it in here a ton. These guys ain't gonna freak out. We've talked about it over and over and over again. There were 6 games throughout the year that they barely won, and against lesser, inferior opponents. Obviously, the Texas game, Caleb brought them back from 28-3.
I can say this right here because I know. I think Kim, Matt, Hank, Jimmy, and Sean. Mm-hmm. I think every single one of you were around the channel at the time. And this was when I'd first really started. My first year doing YouTube was Lincoln Riley's year. Last year with the Sooners was when I kicked this off. And I got a little heat from OU fans. And it's because when I was watching these games, I was like, hey, y'all are winning. And Matt, Jimmy, y'all will remember this. Kim, Sean, Hank, y'all will remember this. I stated something's just not clicking. You're winning. You're winning, and that's what's most important.
As loaded as they were on offense, they should have been blowing people out.
That was it, right? Like, it wasn't the fact that you weren't winning. Winning is the end-all, be-all in college football, but we also have to acknowledge that winning is the end-all, be-all. Not all wins are created equal. Not all losses are created equal. Which is a worse loss, right? Which is a loss you would rather not have. Would you rather have lost to Georgia if you're Ohio State? Would you take that loss in the playoff game, or being Miami getting blown out by Middle Tennessee State University?
Of course, you take that.
Yeah, there's no and I remember watching thinking it doesn't make sense to me. Something like I remember banging my head against a wall, begging Denzel, like, put the puzzle together for me, man. Please put it together for me, because the talent is there. Lincoln is a brilliant coach. This isn't adding up. Well, personally, this is just my opinion. I think he was checked out. I think he was checked out fairly early on in the year, and it looked like Oklahoma was coasting as opposed to having the foot on the gas and taking advantage.
Well, and the discipline was definitely not on the same level ever at any time with Lincoln as it had been with Stoops, as it is now with BV too. That's the other, but yes, there was a code, and that's obviously not undisciplined way to be. And it happened a lot. Every year they got beat by somebody that they shouldn't lose to even before that.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Hank, you're right. Everybody thought it was Spencer. And in fairness, including me.
They did.
But my point was always this. Yes, I think it does go back to Spencer. You have the quarterback whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer is not devout of talent, and you have the quarterback whisperer himself, Lincoln. Why is it not working?
No, that's exactly right. And I've got my thoughts about Spencer Rattler, but because I don't think that he's great. I don't. I think that he's a head case. I think he's got a big arm. I think he's got an NFL arm. I think that his
arm is blessed.
Unbelievably so.
Blessed.
But he's a jerk. He's not a great leader. And when he has a problem, he's one of those guys that's going to blame it on somebody else. If you watched any of the stuff from Netflix, the QB1 stuff that he was in,
I remember watching
asshole,
that.
And he's still doing that stuff. He's still being a jerk about, and still talking bad about Oklahoma. And Lincoln's gone, buddy. You don't have to be, you can be mad, but you should be mad at Lincoln, not the rest, not OU. Now, there was those games that they were calling for him to come out of the game, and I get that. But he said it. I'm still salty. But the thing is yes, if as great as Lincoln is with quarterbacks, why couldn't he get that to work?
That was always, I was like, you have Marvin Mims on the outside. You have 2 running backs who I just think are spectacular.
Yeah.
Mario Williams is great. Theo Weiss, well, he was hurt, so fair point there. But you had Brooks, you had Eric Gray. And this was the thing. This is when I knew something was amiss, Jason. Eric Gray stylistically should have fit into that offense like a glove. He
Yep.
should have been such a weapon. How many two-back splits did we see from Oklahoma that entire year? Any?
Nope.
And all of a sudden, everybody's like questioning Eric Gray. Well, the reason is because that's when I knew something. This isn't Lincoln's. Like, this isn't the same Oklahoma we've seen, but it's a more talented Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's why I just think when you look at the coaches y'all hired now, when you look at the future that's in front of you, you have no choice but to be excited. Very
Exactly.
excited.
And that's where, listen, the folks that are, I was on that live stream with Jay the other day, and there was some guy in there that was still just teeing off on Dylan Gabriel and stuff. And where I was like, dude, what is wrong with you? And I was like, it had nothing to do with Dylan Gabriel this past year. And the bottom line is let it go, because even no matter what happened, you needed it to break. My friend Corey said that one time. Needed to break. Like,
I think that's a beautiful point.
It needed to break and be broken, that you can't glue this shit back together or duct tape it together anymore. It needed to be broken, because until it got broken, it was, and Venables said, we got to tear it down to the studs. Nobody wanted to hear that, but until it got broken, it was never going to get fixed correctly.
I love that. I love that point, because I think it's so true. Because I think Oklahoma, look, part of being spoiled is complacency can set in. And I think complacency
for a team, in a row. They won 6 conference championships in a row and went to 4 playoffs. There's nothing wrong in Oklahoma.
Complacency looks different for different teams. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, complacency for Oklahoma is most teams' dreams, but it's just like last year, I could say complacent was Alabama. They walked into that year thinking that because they had that talent, they were going to run ship through everybody. They were undisciplined. They were unsure of themselves, and it showed every single Saturday except specific quarters of the season. I can't say one game where I thought Alabama played 4 complete quarters of football.
Oh, no. And their losses were by 1 point still. I mean, that just goes to show you. But, like, it's easy to just say, well, they just
it's only 2 losses.
But
it's easy to have that
season,
mentality.
I remember before the season, what's his name? The old quarterback that's got his own podcast now. McElroy. Yeah. He was talking about that. He thought it was maybe one of the best receiving rooms he had ever seen at Alabama.
I didn't go that far. I liked the receiving room, but it was unproven.
What he said. It was what he said. But they were talking about it like there was no way in hell that they didn't win the national championship.
Oh, I would have bet. And look, we've done a bit of content together at this point. I think you have a fair grasp of how I approach things. I don't like giving results, like trying to predict results this far out, right? Because I'm like, I haven't even gotten to see your spring game. I don't know how you're back. There's too many variables, and I want to give you an opinion to where at least, even if I'm wrong, there's a conversation we can have from why I was wrong, right? Like, oh, I thought this, it went this way, but there's logic there. That's the content I want to give people is logical. I was saying last year, hey, Bama could easily win the national championship, and at worst, they need to be in the playoffs. I was dead wrong. They did not deserve to be in the playoffs last year. I cannot be a proponent of the 4 playoff system and say Bama deserved to be there. You got to remember, I'm a proponent of the 4-team playoffs.
I get it. I get what you're saying there too. And honestly, I feel like, I think that they screwed Tennessee is who they screwed, because they could have, they ended up with 2 losses also. So maybe not, but I knew Ohio State, the one game that was perfect for them to be against Georgia there. If it's anywhere else, it's not in the dome on the carpet, they get blasted. But because they had the quarterback that they had in that receiving room that they continue to add to, they just got another one.
Brian Hartline is unfair.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
and look, unfair.
Look, but what are they going to do defensively? We'll find out. They still haven't won anything since the first one, since the first playoff. And so to me, I'm still not a big. I think that the Big Ten is kind of crap right now, and I'm just not big on it. And I'm not big on Ryan Day so much. I think that he's a good offensive coach, just like Lincoln is. I think that he doesn't service the whole team. But getting back to the whole thing about what we were talking about, absolutely, there are times that complacency, and it is again, why did it look like it did? And it needed to break because if it didn't, nobody was ever going to acknowledge it.
You need to clip that. I'm telling you, your segment right now, from a content perspective, when you go back, you need to clip that. It needed to break. That way it could be fixed correctly. You need to clip that.
Okay.
You need to put that on a YouTube short. You need to go put that on. That's a great take. That is a phenomenal take.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, Texas hasn't been relevant for 12 years. They haven't done anything. I mean, they played in one conference championship game in 12 years. You've got A&M leaves, Missouri leaves, Colorado leaves. I mean, all this time, and then, you know, like I said, Oklahoma State is a perpetual underachiever. You know, they win a lot of regular season games. They don't win any conference titles. So, yes, they won 6 in a row, and it looked okay, but they were getting blown out in the playoff. If it didn't break, it was never going to get right. That's all there was to it. So
I think it's so true.
Yeah. Anyway, I just feel like Jimmy.
That had me laughing. Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
Oh, I love that.
No, yeah. I'm on a serious note though. You do need to clip that.
Got it.
I'd make a YouTube short out of that. I'd make a Twitter post out of that. That is a really, really good take. And I'm sitting here as you're saying that, and I'm like, I haven't heard anybody talk about that. But you could do a full video on that. That's a great segment.
I actually did earlier before I had an audience. I did do that. So.
I'd do it again.
Yeah.
I'd do it again and talk about how it broke completely.
Yeah. And it did. It had to. Yeah. It had to. Yeah, the D-line being the biggest concern. Yeah, I think you're right, Mr. John. And welcome to the show, by the way. I don't know if you've been here much, but thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Yeah, listen, I feel like, a revenge tour because
God, I hope. But once again, you got to show me.
Absolutely.
You got to show me. That team last year had all the talent in the world, and they showed that they were inconsistent. So this year's team, I love some of the talent on it. I think there's some really exciting pieces for Alabama this year, but you have got to show me.
Look at what
for sure.
I mean, yeah. But
you got to show me.
It's the same with Oklahoma. The one thing I would say about Oklahoma, and the people are, look, as much as I love what they're doing here, you kind of don't. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt of saying this is year 2, not year 3. That kind of stuff. But the thing is the schedule is so blah.
Yeah, you guys have got a great situation going into year 2.
They need to win 9 games minimum.
I think that's doable, though, my man. I think with your schedule, 9 games is doable. I think that
Listen,
that
I have a hard time finding. I have a hard time finding losses to.
Yeah, we did this in the green room one time, didn't we? Where we looked at the schedule after a show, and I was like,
"That's a tough look, man." I mean, how are they going to lose 3 even? I don't know that they do.
Yeah, I'm not playing Kansas State is huge, right? Because Kansas State,
that's an Achilles heel for Oklahoma. Has been for a long time.
I'll tell you something, Jason. I'm going to tell you this right here, and people don't get it until you find yourself in this situation. We hear it talked about a lot, and people will scoff at it. But as a Bama fan, this is where I can relate to this. Whenever Hugh Freeze was with Ole Miss, beat Bama. They contended with Bama. And at a certain point, they just realized, oh, we're not scared of you. We believe we can play with you. Teams lose to Oklahoma before the ball is ever snapped. Teams lose to Bama, Georgia before the ball is ever snapped. And then all of a sudden, Kansas State feels like, oh, wait, no, we can play with you. We're not scared of you. They approach that differently. And Bama has it with A&M, right? A&M, for whatever reason, will play like dog water all year. And then against Bama, all of a sudden, you're like, where the hell has this team been? It's because they have zero fear for Bama. They have cultivated that. Kansas State is not scared of Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a better program. There's no question about that, but they just don't have any fear. They look forward to Oklahoma.
No. Well, they've won 3 out of 4. I mean, but and that even goes back further than that. I remember the year that they lost to Saban and LSU. I mean, they were undefeated, number 1 easily all season. They get to the Big 12 championship game and got housed by Bill Snyder.
Yeah.
Housed. They still went to the national championship game and got housed again. You know, I mean, yeah, there's something to that. And I mean, listen, it's always been that way. And, and again, I mean, even that game though, I mean, they should have won it at least. I mean, they almost lost it. Lincoln's last year, they only won by 3 or 5. I think it was 40-35 or something. But again, close. When you got to score 40 and you're you're barely winning, you know, they barely beat Tulane. You could have predicted the Tulane USC deal because of what happened in Norman last year.
Oh, the parallels are actually a little bit funny.
It's crazy, right? But they had the number. They had his number. They knew what he was going to do. They didn't get to see Caleb Williams because Spencer played that game. But he knew what the offense looked like, and he knew what the defense was going to do.
Well, and you knew early on in that game that Tulane had done a phenomenal job of scouting Riley. They had done their due diligence. And first off, man, that Tulane staff is
Willie's a great coach,
underrated.
Man. Great coach, dude. Great coaching staff. Look, man, if you're underrating Tulane, when the hell is the last time you thought about Tulane? Anyone. Yeah. No, James, you're right. You're right. It was 21-14. I remember they weren't that close though. You know that. That wasn't that great of a game. I know that it wasn't USC.
Happened like that, right? Where it's like USC. The score is close, but like
I am glad. I'm glad that you corrected me on that. You're right. But look, did you think they were going to lose at all before they got their ass beat by freaking K-State? Yeah, and you're right about what you said right before that. You know, yeah, ever since 03, ruining their season. Yeah, it happens. Injured Jason White. I remember that. Yep.
Some teams, man, they lose all fear. And in a way, I don't want to say they lose respect because they almost respect you in a different manner, but for lack of a better terms, they lose respect. It's like they look at you and they're like, you're not.
Well, that's how you have to look at real teams.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. Where I grew up, I mean, it's not Texas football. I'm not saying it is, but where I come from in New Mexico, we have 30 state championships here.
Yeah, great football everywhere.
That's where Landry Jones played football. It's Artesia, New Mexico. So we got 30 of them. We won when I was in high school. And I'm telling you, there was teams. Our most bitter rival was Carlsbad, who's 40 miles from here. They suck they're a class above, but they suck every year, all the time. And we never beat them. My senior year, we lost one game, one state. We beat the eventual 4A champions. There was 4 classes at that time. We were the 3A champions. We beat the brakes off the 4A champions and the 4A runner-ups and lost to them. And that was their one win that year.
You want to know what I compare
You know what? Because they didn't give a shit about Artesia. Period. They knew that they weren't going to beat Roswell. They knew they weren't going to beat anybody else. But there's some times that you just know you're going to win the game.
It's funny, man. I compare it to we had this conversation in the green room after my show when we were talking about the UFC.
Yeah.
I'll hear people talking about like, this is a great example because of the fight this weekend. Adesanya Pereira 4, right? Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, Adesanya's acting so cocky. He's lost 3 times. Are you delusional? Right. Buddy, these guys are fighters. Like, right. If he doesn't tell himself, yeah, I can beat that guy up, why would he step in the cage with that killer? You got to tell yourself, no, I can hang with these people. I'm the best. I can beat anybody. If I lose, it was a fluke. Because if not, why are you stepping in that cage? And football is very much the same way. If you don't have that respect, why are you stepping on the field? You know what I mean? Like, this is a very look. We love this game, but we also need. This is a dangerous game. This is a
Sure.
serious game.
Sure.
You better walk with that swagger a little bit, and that's why I love the chippiness. With that clip that goes viral of Oklahoma's practice and those two players
Love that.
love it,
Dude,
love
I was so excited
love
when
it.
I saw that. Little Drake Stoops, just like he wasn't gonna he was not gonna let Billy Bowman freaking push him
Love
around.
it.
I
That's
loved
the
it too.
I live for, man. Like
Me
that.
too.
That fires me up. I know there are people that are like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, why is this?" No, no, that's the type of competitive drive I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
That's what you
Absolutely.
need. You need teams full
No,
of
and
dogs.
listen, that's the whole thing is like, and that was the one game that we knew we could lose. The James was asking if that was who Urlacher played for. No, he played for Lovington High School, which we played them in the state championship that year. We beat their ass 35-14. So,
Jeez.
and I mean, and Brian was great, but we didn't know he was that good, but he was good. But yeah, I mean, he hit me. Golly, I don't know how I caught that ball, but I did. It was an important time of the game, but we beat them all the time. But they were really, really good. But they knew that we had their number. That was kind of the same thing as what I was talking about with Carlsbad. It's the same deal. When you know that these guys are, why is it that we keep losing games? If Oklahoma keeps losing games to K-State, same thing. Then Baylor's become an issue all of a sudden the last few years. Of course, I'm with you though on that. I think Dave Aranda's a hell of a coach.
I love
I'm
Dave
kind
Aranda.
of I'm a little worried about a couple of things though. I mean, things are either really good or the wheels fall off. It seems like.
It's an interesting program, man. Like
Yeah.
I want Baylor to be consistent. I don't care if you're consistently like middle of the pack, but give me consistency and then we'll go from there.
It's a little weird, yeah. And I don't know if that's him or if it's coordinators or if it's.
I think it's just been an odd transition, but that's why I think this is a big year. I think this is a big year for Baylor. Not in terms of like, hey, they're going to win it all, but in terms of like, where are you as a program, and more importantly, where are you going as a program?
Yeah. The BYU game.
They don't fear anybody.
They don't, and Oklahoma's never beaten them. I don't think. I don't think they've ever beaten.
Boy, they take that Book of Mormon with them wherever they go, and
listen. There's not a place that they go that there aren't fans there. I mean,
they're
like
great,
Notre Dame. They are a national brand.
I got a lot of love for BYU, man. I do.
Listen, I've said this a bunch, and I know there's been some people that have said otherwise. I think that if there's going to be a loss on that schedule, aside from you could lose to Texas, we all know that could happen because it wouldn't matter if Texas was as good as they are or not. You could still lose that game. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think that. Right. I knew it wasn't more than like 3 times. So it's for sure. I knew about the last 2. So that was right. Okay. Again, and you got to go to Provo for this game as well. It's towards the end of the year. That place is going to be rocking and rolling. I saw Texas play there one time, and they beat the hell out of Texas.
BYU is a team that if you think you're on a run year, like, hey, this is a year we could win a natty in college, I would not want to play BYU. I just wouldn't. They will ruin your season and think nothing of it.
That's right.
Go home happy. The gall.
Yeah. And listen, and they've got a hell of a coach too. I mean, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing there. That's the thing. And I've said this before. The reason that I think that Utah is kicking and screaming about the Pac-12 stuff is because the last time that they shared a conference with BYU, they lost 9 out of 10.
Good God. I do like
they've
been
winning. They've been winning a lot. I think Coach Witt is one of the best.
I love winning him.
I think he's one of the best 3 coaches in the country, without a doubt.
I think he's the most underappreciated coach in the country. Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah. I have so much respect for Kyle Whittingham.
I do too. And I don't think that would happen right at this second, but I think that that's what Utah's worried about, is that they have been little brother to BYU for all these years. And then they moved up to the Pac-12. They didn't want BYU in the Pac-12. And so they've built on that, being in a Power 5 conference, and they've been winning. Now, of course, BYU won the last one. But aside from that one, they've been pretty much, I think that people are grossly underappreciating BYU, and I think that they are going to be the best team in the Big 12 once Oklahoma and Texas are gone. And unless you get CU and until the Pac-12 finishes its implosion.
I'm a sneaky big fan of the teams the Big 12 got. I really am, man. Like,
yeah, I like UCF too.
Football,
I like UCF too.
Houston,
I don't.
Cincy. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of Dana Holgorsen though. I think that he's lost control there already.
I gotta hop outside real quick.
Go ahead. Yep. So guys, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. The at BYU thinks they're only a 6-win team. Yeah, sheesh. Yeah, I don't know. I got to tell you, I think otherwise, and that's just my thoughts on that. And I think that there's going to be a lot of years that they're going to be right there in the mix, even if Colorado shows up in the league and you get Utah to come in. I think to start with, maybe they're going to be the best. Colorado's going to get good quick. Utah will automatically be the best the second they come there because they've got the best coach. But it's not going to be. They're not going to be far behind that. They're not. I agree 100%. I believe that 100%. I know a lot of people don't, but and then I think UCF is the real deal. I think that Coach Malzahn is a real deal coach. He is. I mean, he's put them in position to win national championships at Auburn. I don't know why they fired him. It was crazy to me, but he just hadn't beaten Alabama enough. That's what it had to go down to. Now, let me go into this. We kind of move on to that. Talking about the Pac-12 anyway. We were just kind of talking about that anyway. Guys, obviously, make sure you hit that like button. We've had it's just kind of a small stream. We're not getting a ton of people in here. What do you guys think about me doing this more often? Obviously, I'm gonna need everybody's help to get us some topics. We'll continue talking about it. We'll do some call-in shows a couple of times a week, probably something like that. Kind of see how that all goes. But look, bottom line is we're a lot of these things that, and we can kind of move into the whole Pac-12. Make sure you hit that like button. You can always get that podcast merch. I saw somebody in there bought something just a little while ago. Look at that. Where was it? It was in here earlier. Yeah, you guys are always, I appreciate you guys, all the stuff that you guys are always interacting with us here, and I love it. But no, I had a sale in there in the merch shop. Make sure you go and check that out. We've been talking trash about Tebow. There's some Tebow stuff in there. And well, maybe there is. I may have taken it out. We'll do some of the 5Bs. There's some other stuff that I can put back in. But I'm actually looking at a couple of new, we're working on some new designs, things like that. But get in there and check them out. We got the horns down hats, all that kind of stuff, shirts, jerseys. So yeah, check it out. Anyway, yeah, the media at BYU thinks they're a 6-win team. They were last year. They were saying that that was supposed to be their big year was last year, and they had a bunch of guys hurt.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. There's probably no Oklahoma game I want to go to more than that BYU game.
Yeah, in Provo, it's a beautiful place too, man.
I think I'm gonna go.
It's a beautiful place. I'm definitely
when is it?
It's second to the last game, so it's October.
Oh, thank God! So there's snow down on.
Oh yeah. You're a snowboarder.
Yeah,
guy,
actually,
right?
the people that used to live in New Mexico, they have my snowboard because I'd always go out to Santa Fe to snowboard. They now live in Utah. So my
you go to Angel Fire and stuff like that out there. Is that where you were going?
Santa Fe.
Yeah.
So nothing crazy. I mean, that's the doctor, right, that knocked me out to take my wisdom teeth. He's got my snowboard, and he's out in Utah right now. Yeah, I might have to look into that.
We can road trip it and head out.
Hey, I got the rig. Let me get it out. We can take it out there.
I'm in. I mean, let's do it. Going to Stillwater. Hey, yeah. Listen. So what we need to do is I'm working on trying to get
We'll be out there.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll road trip the whole thing. Yeah, like I said, I'm about to be coming to you live in 4K. We just got to get some last things situated.
Let's do it. Hey, let's do it. We'll take that trip. Are you? Yeah, we'll talk about this off air some more stuff too. But there's some stuff we need to do anyway. I want to go to media days for both the Big 12 and the SEC. I'd like to.
When is it? Because I'm getting married in July. So
it's in July. So it's I believe it's.
Yeah, I think the fiance might have a problem with that.
Yeah, she might. Yeah, but yeah, we can that road trip sounds fun though. BYU road trip, but definitely going to Stillwater. I'm with you on that, James. I will be there for that one. You got to go to the last one, and they're gonna break them. That's just gonna be.
No, the Stillwater's a must. You know what game I've never been to?
Which one?
I've grown up in North Texas, Gainesville, Texas,
and never been to the Red River.
Never been to the Red River rivalry.
Yeah, never. A lot of people haven't though. It's not the easiest game to go to.
Yeah, and it was always just, it was one of those things, man, where at the ranch, we would tape. This is back in the old days with the VCR, you know what I mean? And you had to tape onto the VCR. So we would tape college football games because we'd be working with the horses all day.
Yeah.
Come back inside that night and you pop in that VHS tape. Oh, I remember the old Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, because my dad would record the big teams, and he was a diehard Nebraska fan. My mom was the diehard Bama fan. Right, that's where it came from for me. Was she had to make sure she had those Bama games recorded, and boy, were they terrible. God, they were bad. But Sean Alexander made me love football, and Adrian Peterson as well. I mean, those running back was my favorite position.
AD, I could talk AD all day.
Oh, unbelievable! And Alexander, yeah. AD, people ask me my favorite Crimson Tide player ever. It might be Sean Alexander, man.
He was a bad dude, man. That dude was a bad dude, and that was a bad team, though.
Terrible. They were terrible, but he was unbelievable. Which is part of the reason why I was just like, I sat there watching, mouth open, like, is this guy human? Like,
he was unreal and a monster. Yeah, he was great in the league.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Nobody ever talks about him though, but for me, he's my favorite Bama player, maybe ever. And then number 2 is a more recent one. Amari, man, watching him operate at Bama was like watching I mean, that guy right there was just monstrous at Alabama, Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before they had that offense figured out.
Yeah, and so was freaking Julio.
Smitty.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Devontae Smith.
Devontae was great, but Julio, dude, was unreal. He still is. That so big, and to be that fast and that big.
You know the story of his 40, where he ran the sub 4.4, and he had to have foot surgery a few days later because he had a crack in his foot when he ran a sub at 6'3". He ran a sub 4.40 with a crack in his foot.
Yeah, dude,
he's a amazing.
Freak.
He is a freak.
They make athletes different now. They do. All right. We were talking about the Pac-12 a little bit. Let's just kind of talk a little bit about this because coming from yesterday, this is now the media rights deal. They're extending it yet again. They're saying that they won't. The new deal will not be announced until likely late spring, early summer.
I don't know if you saw the new news. It's the Oprah network now. They're expecting to pick up the Pac-12. It's the O network. Yeah. That's the newest development per Pac-12.
Pac-12 on OWN.
Yeah, I really do believe that they could leverage MTV. Rob Dyrdek has them by the arm right now because if you go to MTV, it's just ridiculousness over and over and over. There's a lot of
not the same as it used to be on MTV. That's for sure.
There's a lot of TV slots. Yeah, that they need to fill up.
And what I'd been seeing from Dennis Dodd the other day, I mean, and the writing has been on the wall for a while.
I'm joking, Jimmy.
We've been talking about this, but it's not that far off, man.
No, it's the CW.
It's the CW, or that there was you don't know how much of this is narrative, because here's the thing, and I've been saying this a lot. One of my last videos, I was talking about that these narratives that are out there, Wilner, Canzano, these dudes are full of crap, and they're going up against Dodd and the Athletic, ESPN, Pete Thamel. I mean, all these guys are, and I used to think that both of these guys, Wilner and Canzano, were good journalists, and these dudes are just mouthpieces. They're propaganda toys, because Klyavkov's not talking. We haven't heard from that. I think he's radio silent for 3 months now.
Do you want to know? I have a theory on this. And yes, James, I did. I don't watch enough TV. I didn't know what her network was called. I just knew that like Oprah has a network because it's Oprah, right? Like she's wonderful, right? Everything she does seems to work, right? Like she's as far as media goes.
She's the richest woman in America for sure.
Nobody ever has anything bad to say about Oprah, right? So first off, I think that might be good for the PAC. Get on with Oprah. It might help change your optics.
It would win.
Well, look, here's the thing. How much more likely would you be to go to a Pac-12 game is when you get there, all of a sudden an announcement comes on the screen to check under your seat. And you the little gift.
Well, Ellen needs a job now.
You have a little Oprah gift under everyone's seat. I think we're y'all are laughing. We're cooking up right here. We're cooking up.
All right, listen, why not?
In seriousness, I think that the reason he hasn't said anything is because whenever this all got started, he was boisterous that, we're going to have the deal. And then the Big 12.
Brett Yormark's been lapping this dude. While
he was doing all this talking, the Big 12 came in the middle of the night like a thief and took the deal they thought they were going to get at, and it reset the market. And now you're not getting that contract.
Yeah, I agree. And here's what's pissed me off, because first of all, not every one of those universities out there is freaking Stanford or Cal, by the way. Okay. Let's just get that out there. And the AAU is medical. The Texas system of medical, the
you want to talk about some of the best
system?
Programs in the nation, UT.
Yes. They
business
don't, you know why they're not AAU, but they're medical school too.
Yeah, it's wild.
Think about it. If they wanted to be AAU, they would be. They don't care about that. They don't need to be. But here's the thing. Bottom line, and you know what? This happens a lot, and I get it. But here's the deal. None of that doesn't have shit to do with the other.
100% agree.
You don't lose your AAU status if you're Utah. All this crap that they're talking about, that it's, the academics are so bad in the Big 12. That's not true, number one. But number two, it wouldn't matter. You're not moving the University of Utah to downtown Dallas.
And that's the thing. Like, what stops you from continuing business as usual, but just playing sports in a different conference? It makes no sense.
AAU. You're still in the AAU. Kansas is an AAU school. They could freaking do research they would be able to do research with Stanford if they wanted to. I'm sure they could.
So dumb.
It's a narrative. It's a narrative that got pushed out there because they're worried about losing their conference, and they are losing their conference. But if you think about all the boisterous stuff that you're talking about, you're right. It was crazy, a bunch of crap. But here's the deal. He wasn't getting the job done. He could have killed the Big 12 immediately. You needed to be able to talk those conference presidents into making that happen. You know what? This is now about survival.
You know my favorite thing about this whole thing, though? Do you remember when the alliance was formed?
Oh, dude, that was hilarious. Yes. Handshake only. Handshake only, nothing on paper.
I was just like, who are you
9 months posturing
for? This is the thing, man. Like,
and then they shot down the playoff expansion at that point,
and everyone blamed the SEC. Everybody was on my they were like, "Oh, well, the SEC didn't want it." I was like, "What do you mean? The SEC and the Big 12 voted for this to happen."
Yep.
I disagree with it. I don't want playoff expansion, but the SEC as a whole, they voted for it.
Yeah.
I love the alliance, Jason. It's one of my favorite things in recent college football memory.
Yeah, and you know what's the craziest part about it? That little handshake deal that they did, and then USC and UCLA are the ones that said no to the Big 12 teams coming to the Pac-12, and then they left right after that. It was USC that was making the biggest shit about it. And right now, it's Stanford saying no to San Diego State. They're not going to. I mean, that's like a non-starter for Stanford and Cal. They do not want anything to do with San Diego State being in that conference because of academics, and they're going to be going to the Big Ten also the second they get the opportunity to, if they don't go independent.
Do they even play football at Stanford anymore?
Kind of not. They don't have an NIL collect. They're not doing any of that kind of stuff. I
figured they just got rid of that program after. It just seems like they don't care anymore.
I think they don't. And it's a weird, but the whole thing was a narrative. And that's the bottom line. It's just a freaking narrative. And it's silly talk because one thing doesn't have to do anything to do with the other. You're not actually moving Utah into Big 12 country. You're just going to play sports there. So all that stuff is silly. It's a dumb thing to talk about. But that's literally all Kliavkov has had to like hang his hat on, because he hasn't. He turned down $31 million, the same deal that the Big 12 took.
Yep. And now that they're not going to give it to him.
They revoked it from him. That's gone. The last time hearing, and you hear different numbers, but from everything that you can tell, like Dennis Dodd and them are saying somewhere between 15 and maybe 20. Jeez. The most I've heard is like 25-ish, and that it just depends on where it's coming from. But then they had that television executive that Dodd interviewed the other day. He's won 7 Emmys. He's put together 5 different regional sports networks. This guy's a great consultant, and he's like, this is over. There's no way they get any better than 50%, and that's
it's done.
50% streaming, and that's if they're able to talk like Ion or CW into it. Ion, that's what we're talking about. Listen, Colorado did not bring in Coach Prime for that. That's not why they brought it. There's no way they're going to let them be all streaming. No way. They're out.
They have too many opportunities. I'll put it like this. A team in a conference like the Big 12 looks at Colorado right now and the eyes that are on that program, and at the first opportunity, they're like, come on home.
Yeah.
Come on home. You're welcome here.
Yeah,
why wouldn't you?
No, and Yormark's doing right. I mean, he's trying to build a basketball. Great. I mean, he loves basketball. He was in charge of the Nets for all that time. I mean, but he's all about making big money. I mean, we're talking about dude that Elton John and Billy Joel concerts that are selling out that place out there. I mean, he rebranded everything with NASCAR. This dude is running circles around George Kliavkov. They have nothing left. He couldn't talk him into doing that. Then they turned their nose up at the merger. That was an olive branch that he was giving them. You want to merge? Nope. Okay, we'll just poach you then. It's beyond me. But as I said, I don't see. And now they're talking about this. The negotiations. From everything I know, ESPN is done negotiating. They may be out of the deal altogether now. And this is all coming from The Athletic today. They're saying that this was from yesterday. On Thursday, a person with knowledge of the media rights discussions told The Athletic a deal will not likely be announced until late spring. Last month, Arizona President Robert Robbins had told The Athletic that he believed they'd have it in the next couple of weeks. Now we're talking another month or two. He said, I think we're close to a deal.
No, you're not.
No,
you're not.
No,
you're close to a deal. You would have had a deal. Every day that goes by, dollars are reduced because you lose leverage. You get more desperate, and the person who holds the money gets less desperate because they realize they can take advantage of your situation. You don't almost. Oh, that fires me up. I'm so sorry.
And that's the whole thing, dude. If you start thinking about like the ACC's in a bad position for those those good schools, you know, when you start talking about like Carolina, Miami, Florida State, and Clemson, they're in trouble, right? F is for Fanatics. Hey, what's up, buddy? Appreciate that.
My man.
Yeah, my man. Appreciate it. So, yeah, I mean, you know, if you're looking at these guys, the ACC, the thing is, there's no reason for ESPN to really do anything, but maybe they need to go ahead and pay. My feeling on that is you need to take care of those top schools, keep them competitive, because you have it for 13 more years at a great deal. You can afford it, you know, and you're about to, you know, you don't have to worry about the Pac-12. You're about to roll the best teams into well, some of the best teams into the Big 12. You know what I mean? Your basketball stuff, yeah. That's the way I feel like they need to do that. But the truth of it is that crappy deal that the ACC has might be what's going to keep it alive.
You'd rather have a deal that's suspect than no deal at all.
That's right. Because they're not going to torpedo their own deal.
Exactly.
Yeah. F is for Fanatics. Thanks for, hey, man, I appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man.
Toss in what you feel about that. Look, we're going to see kind of what's going to – I was going to ask you – I've figured you'd pop in here. What do you think about this idea of having games against someone else during the for the spring game? You know, playing, I don't know, FAMU or something like that. So throw it in there. Let us know what you think. Now, they have to give more money to Clemson and Florida State. No, I absolutely agree with you on that. That's what I've been saying that for a few weeks. I feel like that's what you have to do, right? There's just no two ways around it, because otherwise you're going to end up in court and it's going to cost a bunch of money and all that stuff, and they're going to be trying to get out. And if you do that with Florida State and Miami and these guys already, I feel like Carolina, if they're going to get out, they're probably a Big Ten school rather than an SEC school, right? You figure that FSU and Miami are SEC schools if they were to leave the ACC, but are they? If you're going to hold them into this crappy deal and they feel like you screwed them, you think they're going to re-sign with you with the SEC? I don't know. And
maybe
the
not.
other part of yeah, I mean, maybe not, but I mean, it's not a guarantee is what the point is.
Yeah.
You can't give up Florida if you're ESPN, can you? They own it. They own all of Florida. Their contracts hold Florida. If in the bidding wars between Fox and ESPN, if you're ESPN, you've got to keep them out of Florida. Period. That's just me. I don't know.
The mouse controls all, and the mouse lives in Florida.
Sure. Think about it. You've got exactly. Exactly. Plus you've got the three major colleges there. UCF is also, you know, becoming a player.
Oh, that's why the UCF edition for y'all was great. That's one of the biggest student bodies in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's a massive student body.
It's the largest student body in the country.
Is it the largest in the country? I did not know.
They also have the largest alumni base in the country now.
I had a tournament at FS or at UCF once. I got to go to Orlando and was on their campus. They were revamping, doing a lot of construction, but had a great time. People there were awesome. Cool place. Yeah,
it's pretty badass. No, and listen, I'm just saying, to me, the one conference that's in deep trouble is the PAC. They've been poorly run forever, and they didn't do themselves any favors with this guy. And every time he's had an opportunity to like keep him alive, they nixed the merger, and they didn't want to bring Oklahoma State, Baylor, Texas Tech, and TCU. Could have went and destroyed the rest of the Big 12 after Oklahoma and Texas left, and they didn't do it. So they lacked the killer instinct to do it, and Yormark doesn't. He doesn't lack it, and neither did Kevin Warren. So the alliance, that was so funny. So funny.
The alliance was ridiculous.
Yeah. You get what you get, man. You know what I mean? You get what you get. All right. Last thing we'll talk about. What did you think about Flowers.
That was wild. I had a video ready to go for USC.
Yeah.
And he committed obviously around 4:00 my time. We go live with my stream at 5:00.
Right.
And fiance just gets home from work and she's like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm heading back home to see my family this weekend. I might do a little something, me and my mom." So during that time, instead of being able to remake the video, I was out in the living room spending time with her in the,
Sure.
case that. But
Oregon.
yeah, Oregon. He was crystal balled to USC this morning by everybody.
Yeah.
I make the video, have it ready to go because I'm like, okay, well, I might be running errands. I might not be at the house at 4:00. So I'm just going to have this video ready to go. Next thing I know, 4:00 rolls around. Oh, he was Wilfonged. Yeah, he was fonged.
Yes,
to USC this morning. And then it was fonged again to Oregon. Now, let me be very clear here because I'm not saying that Fong put in 2 crystal balls today. I'm saying that he had inserted a crystal ball in favor of USC, and today, for certainty, went to inserted it for Oregon.
Yeah,
it's a big win. USC needed the safety. Oregon needs the defense. Yeah, it's a big win.
Look, and we're going to see what's going to end up happening. I mean, I think there's still a chance that he could go to Oklahoma later because of the way that they, their relationship building and stuff. And something that I had seen from, actually I was watching High Top, and, they were talking about that used to, it sucks to be second, but if you're number 2 on this list, on a recruiting list, and you've built a good relationship with this recruit, with the way things are in the portal and everything else these days, you still have an opportunity. Look, I mean, all the way down at the end, you got Peyton Bowen. You know what I mean? And even after that whole debacle with Oregon before. But I'll tell you, this is why I've said a bunch of times that Dan Lanning is the real deal. This guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we said this in my show. Can you imagine what that Oregon class would look like if they don't have Bowen flip and if they don't have Dante Moore flip? We're talking about Oregon in an entirely different light right now.
Bro, Dante Moore is so good, too.
He's so good. Well, we've talked about this before. Whenever it came to Elite 11 MVP, Jackson Arnold won MVP, but all reports, if you listen to every report, they said it was a clear 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
They said Jackson Arnold and Dante Moore put on an absolute clinic, both of them, and that they said both of these guys, unbelievable. Yeah, great.
Josh Pate was talking about it because they were there. They were set up for the whole thing. I guess they kind of covered it. I'm telling you, man, these guys are, I mean, yeah, what happened there? But I'm telling you, aside from that, they still ended up with a great class, though.
They still had didn't they have a top 10 class?
Yes.
While missing Bowen? Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, they had Dante flip, and Bowen didn't end up staying it with, obviously, he didn't, the paperwork never got there. I'm telling you. And it is, some of these guys, it is a crapshoot. There's going to be guys that are going to flip, but that's the whole point, is that now, you gotta hold them until December, and maybe till February. You got to hold on to these guys. You don't get to stop recruiting them. You have to continue, because until ink hits paper, and even really then, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't, because look, the tampering rules, they're so
the
easy
Lincoln
to
Riley
get around.
rules. Yeah.
They're so easy to get around. They are so
rules.
Painful. Have you ever seen Glass Onion?
Glass Onion, no.
Have you seen Knives Out?
Oh, yes.
Brother,
yes.
Tonight, do me a favor. Watch Glass Onion.
Okay.
It's so good. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to read, but it almost reminds me of that, where it's just like, your rule is so stupid. Mm-hmm. It's so dumb. No, you need to watch it. It's a fantastic movie. It's
cool.
Great.
I will. And listen, bottom line, you're right about this. Hey, Cody, absolutely correct. Even when they're on your roster, they can leave. Now, they've brought that back a little bit. After that one-time transfer, you're not going to get as easy, according to the new memo that they've got out. Whether or not they can, whether or not they're really going to be able to enforce that, I thought that was already the rule. I thought that was already the rule, that it was already a one-time deal.
The problem is, man, is the NCAA, they have no leverage for anything.
No teeth. None. No teeth.
Because they know they can end up in court again, and Justice Kavanaugh is going to bring a hammer down on them.
Sure.
If they're in front of the Supreme Court again.
Sure.
They will be eviscerated. They know this.
Yeah. What was it that he said to him the last time?
He said your entire structure is basically illegal. Your entire antitrust structure makes no sense. Your entire theory for being able to operate the way you do is the principle of you don't have to pay someone a fair wage, just on the theory that you don't have to pay them a fair wage. Justice Kavanaugh said no other industry in the nation would pass the scrutiny that the NCAA does. They weren't there to talk about that. He just said, hold up, let me cook, and put a target on their back and looked at everybody in the nation and said, go.
Look at how long they had, though, to prepare for that, too. The Ed O'Bannon lawsuit had been in place for so long already that it had been getting over and over and over again, had been being
James's comment
continued.
is so funny.
Yeah.
James's comment is so funny.
Yeah. JT Daniels
he's planning to play for the transfer portal. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No doubt. Rice is about the same thing. He's going to play for food instead, like Josh Payton calls it. Food. We're playing food. If you're playing food, you better win.
That's
What
great.
this little Lone Star was talking about. Oh, Christian from Lone Star College Football. Anyway, yeah, these guys. Look, the bottom line is there's really, until you get them there, and this is why NIL, to me, it's great in some instances. But if you're trying to do like what we've seen Jimbo trying to do, and among other schools, that you're just going to try to overpay, look at what that's doing to A&M. They look worse all the time with it, and they're losing people, right? Bottom line is this. If you're not doing, Venables has the sole mission that it's about something beyond that. And then even that's what you've seen with Coach Prime. He's like, hey, we're going to teach you how to make money on NIL, but that's on you. Oklahoma's making it now to where, the NCAA, they just passed a bill in the House side in Oklahoma that says you can't touch us, NCAA, go away.
Well, that's the
Florida
problem.
Did the same thing. It's basically the same law that they passed in Florida, with a little more. That's like, don't even mess with us about it.
Well, it makes no sense to me. The NCAA argued like, oh, well, how can we put this on an even playing field? There's so many different states. I was like, you idiots, you've already gotten a uniform rule within college football. If you have a face mask as a face mask, and that's an NCAA rule, you've already unified despite states. What the hell are you talking about? It is, and
they didn't even do it right, though. They did. Yeah, when you start doing things like, oh, well, you can't use it as an enticement. Why? If you do it like that, then nobody can regulate it.
And here's the thing, you can't use it as an enticement, but what does every school do?
They do use it as an enticement, and nobody knows about it.
Well, no, but here's the thing, we all know about it. But here's no, my brother, and here's the crazy thing. Texas, at the point where they say we're paying all recruits $50,000 a year in NIL, that's enticement.
Sure.
Oklahoma saying we're going to pay you $50,000 a year, everybody on our roster, that's enticement. Bama doing that is all by definition enticement.
It's already pay for play anyway.
No, that's why I agree with you. What is the NCAA thinking? Like, by your definition, I could argue that the very acknowledgement of if you come here, you will get here. Isn't that a quid pro quo? Right. So, like, where are we drawing? It is so stupid.
I love what Jay was talking about on his video that he did about it. He was talking about that they also, in this legislation, that tuition is not a part of their compensation. So it's essentially calling it pay for play if they pass this law, and it's going to pass. It already passed the House side easily.
This is interesting. FS Fanatics said Miami is losing their biggest booster too. Did y'all see that Ruiz life wallet is tanking and he's being sued? I did not see that. But
I've
now I
seen
know
that.
exactly what I'm looking up this evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we probably.
Yeah, James.
So look, guys, we're probably going to get out of here pretty quick. So make sure you hit that like button. But hey, here's the deal. Tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and go on because Michael Hawkins is going to be on Instagram. I'm going to go on at it's at 2:45 Eastern, I believe, or is it 2:45 Central? Do you remember? I will announce it. I will announce it on the comment set or on this video.
I'm not
But
sure.
we'll have it out there. You'll see it. You'll see it on the channel. I'm gonna go live then. If you want to jump on, you're welcome to. But what we'll do is, and we'll
I'll
find
be in
out
full
what
UFC mode by that time.
yeah,
I'll have the
what Michael
undercards
Hawkins is
going.
gonna do. We're gonna find out. So hopefully, it from what I understand, it looks like it. I think it's almost guaranteed. The only other place I could really see him going. What are your thoughts on this? Is it gonna be? It's Oklahoma or TCU, right?
I think so. And here's the thing. I know that people are saying like, oh, well, is Oklahoma going to take two quarterbacks because you're in good position for the other class? But that same argument would have to be applied to TCU, right? They just got a commitment for a quarterback. So in either case, he's going to an institution with two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I always say follow the visits. I think it's very telling that the weekend before he's committing, he's in Norman, Oklahoma, when he lives a hop, skip, and a jump away from Fort Worth. And you can say, oh, but he can go there anytime. Sure. So he could go there Thursday. He could go there Wednesday. He could go there Tuesday. You get my point? Like there's nothing but time and opportunity to head down the road and check them out.
And again, Oklahoma. His dad was a safety there. He was in the same recruiting class as Jeff Lebby. I think that to me, it's a done deal.
I'd be shooketh.
I would be too. Now, again, it still won't matter until December. So let's not freak out about the commitment again, because I still don't think it would be over with, even if he signed there.
Or lack
because
thereof.
Here's another reason. Because Kendall Briles hasn't kept a job for more than a year since he left Baylor. So, when December comes and they've had their hangover year, Kendall's liable to split. At that point, then what? I still feel like, unless I would be less shocked by Oklahoma deciding not to offer him a scholarship anymore than I would be about him flipping to Oklahoma if he was to sign at TCU.
Oh yeah. And that's 100% what I meant when I said or lack thereof. In the event that he doesn't commit to Oklahoma, got nothing but time and opportunity until December comes.
Exactly. And there's other quarterbacks out there too. He's not even his ratings aren't as high as some of these other guys.
He's great. You have Jackson Arnold.
Right. And yeah, he's going to be sitting for a while either way. Jackson is going to be unreal.
Jackson, yeah, he's unbelievable. I mean, and look, I think Michael Hawkins, I think he's got such a high ceiling, but you've got Jackson Arnold.
I do too. I've seen it. His video looks amazing. I love watching the ball come off his hand.
His upside is ridiculous, man.
Amazing upside. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And again, this relationship building, guys, we've been talking about it. The relationship building, right? That's what they're doing. So even if you're number 2 right now, there's a long ways to go till signing day. And there's 2 of them. So it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and that doesn't even mean much anymore when we're seeing guys request out of their national letter of intent.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, the whole Jaden Rashada thing, and that's something that we'll probably get into a little bit of that tomorrow on the live. He appears to be happy at Arizona State. He's there with a good coach. Dillingham.
I love Dillingham. I like Dillingham. I like Samples. I like Carrington. I like the moves they've made. But I'll tell you what was undoubtedly funny, and I don't care who you root for. Seeing the picture, I don't know. So I follow him on Twitter, and I'm going to get the name wrong, so I'm not going to say it. He's hilarious, man. He does Florida content as well. And he posted a tweet, and it was a side-by-side of whenever Rashada was at Florida, and he was standing next to a Lamborghini with his NIL money. And then he had a shot of him at Arizona State, and he's on a bike. And I was like, yo, this is
You gotta
so
love those
wrong.
Florida trolls, bro. Those Florida trolls are something, aren't they? Listen, here's the deal. Number one, they got money at Arizona State too.
No, they
So-
absolutely do. I was just like, this is so wrong.
but that's funny though. That's funny stuff. There's nothing better than that. I still remember.
Was it Dave?
These Florida guys, all the Florida guys, the Miami dudes versus the Florida guys and the Florida State, they all talk trash like
they're
on
great.
another level of good.
They're great.
Yeah. The first time I ever saw G5 Billy was from a Twitter account from Miami, and I was just like, oh. And it was about the Cormani McLean stuff or whatever. But
Before
I know
the
you
season
do.
started, I was actually on with
Holy
Dirty
Quist.
Bird. Yeah, and F is for he'll know who Dirty Bird is, a Miami guy. Yeah, I was on with Dirty Bird
he hates
talking
Miami
about
too,
yeah, talking about Miami season. That's what it's gonna do.
because of the depth that we saw last year, bud. That's why. You get
Why
as
not?
much as you can. And listen, you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know. You need to get one every year. And
This
why
season,
wouldn't
F
you?
is for Fanatics. It was before this season. Yeah, I went on with Dirty Bird. We talked about Miami. And in fairness, I got to say, man, he was very, very realistic in terms of.
There's a lot to do there. Listen, and whether the money, I don't know about the money part of it, but you got to admit, I mean, to me, I'm going to tell you that I think that Mario is fine. I think he's a good coach. I don't know that Miami is a decent destination, but we're going to have to find out. I know that it seems like they pumped that whole stock of that LifeLock thing got pumped, right? I mean, it was like
they rent a stadium.
They're buying the stadium, right? They're buying them a new stadium?
I love that so much. He doesn't say anything. He just says they rent a stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Drops that's great. I love the trash talk between the Florida fans. They're amazing.
Yeah,
they rent it from Aaron.
They're hilarious, dude. I love their shows, man. I love their shows.
It's great. That's why I told you the second I saw
Billy
High Top, I was like, I got to get
that.
this guy on the channel.
He's fun, man. He's fun. I had him on with me once, and it was a blast. I can't wait to do it again. It was fun.
Yeah, Cody's going to be back on the channel here very soon.
Yeah, Cody, when are you going to come? If you want to jump on tomorrow too, we'll definitely going to be taking a look at that whole deal. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys. We've been on now for almost 2 hours. I'm starving, and but we will definitely be on tomorrow. We're going to find out what happens with Michael Hawkins. I'll have some more stuff for you as well, just in case in case it goes bad. But otherwise, we'll figure it out.
Pending the big sad, we'll have content.
Pending the big sad, yeah. Well, I'm gonna have the other sad. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be all right. I think it's a done deal.
I think,
but you never know. You never know. But thanks a lot for showing up. Make sure you hit the like button. Ty, tell everybody where to find you. I think they're all your boys too, but tell everybody where to find you.
It's about time we get out. I'm dropping stuff now. I've entered the stage of just like clumsiness. You can find me at Around the Table Sports. I do constant college football content. I try and make it good, but it is what it is.
It is great. You're one of my. I mean, you guys, the guys. I've been so happy to be doing content with you guys these last month or two. You guys are the best in the business. So, Ty, I appreciate being on your show earlier today. Thank you so much for coming on mine. You classed the joint up a lot. I appreciate it. So we will definitely catch you tomorrow. And folks, we will see you on the next one.
See ya. Spinning Wheel of Doom inbound.